Sorry, I ended up having a kid. I'm divorcing you because I'm marrying Anna.
A woman like you isn't good enough for Tyler. Defective infertile woman, get lost.
The strong cry of a healthy newborn echoes in the delivery room. Normally, this would be a cause for genuine celebration, but that day was not one of those days. The cries of a new life felt like a crushing weight. I couldn't believe I'd been betrayed. Tyler and Anna laughed at me. Their expression clearly felt like they were looking down on me. I can't forgive this. I've always been devoted to Tyler. Even when things were rough, I pushed through, doing my best. But then, everything was crumbling down. Just then.
Actually,
The doctor, who was present, opened his mouth gravely. With just a few words, the betrayers would face their downfall. My name is Amanda Harris. I'm a midwife in my 30s. I live with my husband, Tyler. I've always liked taking care of kids younger than me. At first, I thought being a preschool teacher might be nice, but one day my parents showed me a video that made me decide to become a midwife. It was my birth video. My parents carefully documented my growth from when I was in my mother's womb until the moment I was born. They even captured the moment I came into the world, and on my 12th birthday, my parents showed me the video. It was the first time I had seen how a baby is born, and it left me with an indescribable feeling of awe. I wanted to be part of that moment too. This is why I decided to become a midwife. I studied hard to become a midwife. I didn't spend much time playing with my peers, so the friends I had were those who understood my dreams. One of them is my husband, Tyler. Tyler and I were high school classmates. At that time, we were just friends, and he had a girlfriend, but several years later, when we met again at a reunion of classmates who had become working adults, Tyler had already broken up with Anna and was single again.
I'm honestly so lonely I can't stand it. Uck. I wish there were more women like you, Amanda.
What's that supposed to mean? Are you trying to sweet talk me? Tyler's teasing words made me laugh, but I quickly realized his gaze was sincere. It took a few seconds for me to understand that he meant it. Then we started dating. We didn't have any major arguments, so we ended up getting married. We wanted kids after getting married. That was a shared dream of ours. So, even though we were still in our 20s, we worked hard to conceive. I thought I understood how difficult it could be to have kids since I worked in obstetrics, but I had no idea it would be this challenging. But I couldn't get pregnant. It was way beyond what I could understand. Could it be that I'm infertile? A glimmer of worry crossed my mind. No way. At least, it wasn't the time to be anxious about it yet. I tried to reassure myself, but others thought differently.
Another failed month. You've got to be kidding. When are you gonna get pregnant? My mom's eagerly waiting for a grandchild. How am I supposed to tell her?
Tyler's shoulders slumped as he spoke. I knew that Tyler was trying his best. I understand how disappointing it can be if we don't see results. But I was also feeling down. To make matters worse, my in-laws weren't quiet about it either.
Amanda, still no kids. You better get on it. What will we do if our family line ends? As the wife of the eldest son, you need to fulfill your basic duties.
maybe you're doing it wrong. Let me show you how it's done.
For the record, Tyler's family wasn't some big landowning dynasty or owners of a major company. They were regular folks, a businessman and a homemaker. So honestly, there's no way their bloodline would ever die out. But my father-in-law's words were particularly crude and unsettling. My father-in-law sometimes gives me unsettling looks that give me chills, so I instinctively keep my distance. But I still had to maintain contact with my in-laws. As the only daughter-in-law of the Harris family, I have to get pregnant soon. At some point, my simple love for children had turned into thoughts like, I need to have kids soon, and I don't know what others will say, driving me to pressure myself. The stress began to wear me down physically, which only reduced my chances of conceiving. I couldn't find a way out of the vicious cycle. Still, I didn't just sit back and do nothing. Suspicious about our fertility struggles despite all our efforts, I repeatedly begged Tyler until he finally agreed that we should see an OBGYN at my clinic.
It's obvious that infertility is the woman's fault. Why should I have to go? You go by yourself.
I'm sorry for making you feel bad, but please trust my opinion as an expert. I'm begging you. For several days, I continued to plead with Tyler as sincerely as I could.
If you're going to beg that much, I'll go once, just once. Not like I'll have any problems, though.
Finally, I got his approval. Honestly, just getting him to go was exhausting, but one checkup could change everything. I was desperate for any hope I could find. The test results wouldn't be available that day, requiring a few days' wait. So that day, we quietly returned home and waited for the test results. But when we arrived home, Tyler's parents' shoes were lined up at the entrance. Why are they here? We hadn't given them the key. Yet, how could they have entered our house while we were away? I didn't want to assume the worst, but Tyler's inconsiderate parents weren't exactly known for their tact. If they'd ransacked the house while we were out, that would be the last straw. I hurried inside, and sure enough, Kate was coming out of my room. Moreover, in her hand was a bag stuffed full of something. I turned pale, wondering what she had inside, and instinctively yelled at her. Mael, what are you doing? Perhaps not expecting to get caught, she froze for a moment, and I snatched the bag from her hand to find my jewelry jingling inside. Even the necklace my mother gave me was in there. I'd kept my valuables hidden deep, so she must have taken them out on purpose.
What? I was just borrowing them for a bit. Do you really need to raise your voice like that? There's no need to make a fuss.
What are you talking about? This is stealing. I'm calling the police right now.
Wait, hold on.
Tyler tried to calm me down, taking my phone from my hand. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Why was Tyler siding with his mother? I glared at him with anger boiling over.
Calm down, Amanda. My parents didn't come here to steal. They wanted to teach you some tips for being a good wife. So I invited them over. We had that appointment at the gynecologist today, right? I just gave them the key so they wouldn't have to wait outside.
Hearing Tyler's words, a sense of disbelief washed over me. I couldn't believe it, but even Tyler was in on it. If we'd been just a little later returning home, Kate would have taken all my precious jewelry, and I would never have noticed. The thought made me go pale with horror.
What's all this commotion about? I was sleeping soundly, and now I'm wide awake.
Hearing our racket, my father-in-law emerged from the back room. That's the room we use as the master bedroom. Later, I found out that they had used it in the worst way possible. The pillowcase I had bought for a high price and had been using was soaked with my father-in-law's drool. My in-laws and Tyler glared at me with expressions that seemed to imply that I was at fault. Why was I the only one getting scolded like this? Weren't my in-laws who barged into our house without permission and Tyler, who let them did so, the real culprits here? I was furious, but since it would be troublesome if they kept acting out, I reluctantly decided to entertain them. Then, as Tyler had said, they started nitpicking everything, trying to teach me how to become a good wife.
Amanda, we're out of tea. You're supposed to notice that and refill it without being told. How could you not know that?
Well, Amanda, this food is so bland it doesn't even feel like a meal. Tyler works hard outside, so you need to serve him something hearty. Poor Tyler, having to eat food like this.
Do this, do that. This is wrong, that's wrong. Endless complaints wore me down until I was exhausted. How much longer would this continue? Would having a child change things for the better? Each night, I slept with a vague sense of anxiety. There wasn't a single moment when I felt at ease. The only solace I had was my time at work. Every day, new lives are being born, so there's hardly any time to rest. However, whenever I hear the cries of a newborn in the delivery room, I feel a sense of relief. One day, we got a call from the emergency responders. A pregnant woman had gone into labor nearby, and the hospital she usually went to was far away. If we abandoned them here, it could have serious consequences. We agreed without hesitation and prepared to receive them. However, when I saw the pregnant woman and the man accompanying her being brought in, my face turned pale. Over time, she looked a bit more mature, but the woman suffering from labor pains was undeniably Tyler's ex-girlfriend, Anna, and beside her was Tyler. It took a moment for me to process what was happening.
It hurts, it hurts.
Anna, hang in there.
Tyler encouraged her, tightly holding her hand as she writhed in labor pains. In the tense atmosphere, neither of them noticed I was there. Anna had already passed her due date, so she was promptly brought into the delivery room. The question of why they were there never left my mind, making it hard to focus as usual. Still, I managed to safely deliver the baby, focusing solely on saving the life in front of me. The baby's cries echoed in the delivery room. Normally, hearing that voice would fill me with deep emotion, but this time, it didn't feel that way at all. After completing most of the procedures, I went to check in on Anna's hospital room with the attending doctor. It was only then that they finally seemed to notice my presence, both of them suddenly looking startled.
Amanda, why are you here?
Anna and I weren't particularly close, but since we went to the same high school, we had some connection. That's probably why Anna recognized me right away. At first, Anna and Tyler looked surprised, but when I didn't say anything, they began to smirk as if they had something on their minds.
Sorry, we had a kid. I'm divorcing you to marry Anna, and
A woman like you isn't good enough for Tyler. Infertile defect. Get lost.
I couldn't respond to their words, but it wasn't because I was depressed. It was because I was disgusted by how low they had fallen as human beings. I had tried my best to make things work with Tyler. My relationship with my in-laws was terrible, but I tried my best to overcome it. Despite all my efforts, it ended up like this. This can't be allowed. Tyler and Anna laughed loudly at me. Their laughter echoed in the not-so-large hospital room. Other patients in the room looked at them with puzzled expressions.
Excuse me.
In the midst of this, the doctor in charge spoke up.
Actually, we have the test results.
Now that he mentioned it, I had received news earlier that the results of my infertility test had come back. I had planned to hear the results later, but then Anna's delivery happened, so I hadn't had the chance. And by some twist of fate, the doctor in charge of Anna was the same one who handled our infertility test. He was a junior colleague of mine, and we often had meals together. The doctor spoke solemnly. I thought this wasn't the right time, but I decided to listen quietly.
Tyler, you're infertile.
What? Everyone, including me, gasped at the doctor's words. Tyler and Anna started to tremble exaggeratedly. Tyler is infertile? No way. But then again, despite all our efforts, we couldn't conceive. I had considered the possibility that one of us might be infertile. Still, the fact was shocking. Until now, Tyler and his parents had constantly blamed me for not being able to get pregnant. But now, it turned out Tyler was the cause. I felt like the daily verbal abuse I had endured was absurd, and I was on the verge of tears. Now a question arose. Tyler's infertility had just been discovered, so there was no way he could have been treated. Then how did Anna get pregnant? There was only one answer.
You cheated, didn't you? You traitor.
Tyler, face red with rage, grabbed Anna by the collar. Anna turned pale and began to panic. Her attitude clearly gave away the answer, and I couldn't help but chuckle.
No, it's not true. I didn't do that. Oh, it's Amanda who's plotting. I'm sure Tyler's infertility is a lie.
Anna tried to make excuses in a flustered manner. However, her voice was cracking, making it obvious that she was lying. Anyone could see through her lie just from the way she said it. Even Tyler seemed to sense it, glaring at Anna sharply.
Damn it. How did it come to this? I was going to divorce Amanda and marry you, but I don't want to take care of a kid whose father I don't even know.
Saying that, Tyler started to leave the hospital room. Wait, I stopped Tyler. His face brightened up instantly.
Yay, I knew it. Amanda still loves me. All right, we can still make it work. Amanda, let's forget about the divorce. Let's work together as a couple again.
He took my hand and said such convenient things. I felt a sense of disbelief hearing it, because I didn't stop him to reconcile. No, where should I send the divorce papers? You know the house we lived in is under my name, right? After the divorce, you'll have to leave, so I need to know where to send them. Is your parents' place okay?
What?
Tyler raised his voice in shock. He acted as if he couldn't believe I was talking about divorce. Why would I continue with Tyler after he betrayed me? Tyler had trampled all over my feelings. Even if he begged for forgiveness 100 times, I could never forgive him. Yet, hearing my words, Tyler looked devastated.
Amanda, don't say that. We're a couple, right? As a couple, we're supposed to stick together through thick and thin.
What, thick and thin? Tyler was the one who pushed me away first, so how could he say such things? It was so selfish that I felt it was pointless to even respond anymore. While I was wondering what to do, the doctor, who had become invisible in the situation, spoke up.
Excuse me.
While I was pondering what to do, the attending doctor, who had been unnoticed until then, spoke up.
This is disruptive to other patients. Could you please continue this conversation elsewhere?
I realized that the other patients in the room were glaring at Tyler and Anna with obvious disgust. Since Anna was not in a private room, continuing the conversation here would only cause more trouble. Determining that this was the best course of action, I decided to leave the scene.
Wait, Amanda.
Ignoring Tyler's desperate calls, I returned to work. After that, I hated seeing Tyler's face, so I went home during the weekdays when he wouldn't be there, packed my essentials, and left immediately. Until I found a new place to live, I decided to rent a weekly apartment. When I consulted a lawyer about Tyler's affair, he said I could get testimony from the hospital and receive alimony. Relieved by those words, I mailed the document detailing everything and the divorce papers to the house where Tyler was likely still living. Of course, I also sent a bill for alimony to Anna. A few days later, the phone rang loudly. I quickly realized it was from Tyler, so I messaged back, "Please go through my lawyer for details." However, Tyler didn't listen at all and kept calling, even during my working hours. I thought it would be troublesome to leave it like this, so I decided to find some time to deal with him.
Help me, please.
When I answered the phone, Tyler started begging without even a greeting.
The real estate agent came to the house. I don't really understand, but they said I have to leave within a week or they'll call the police. Do something. I don't want to deal with the police.
I somewhat grasped the situation from Tyler's words. Well, because it was my plan. After our divorce was finalized, I went to the real estate agent and started the process of selling the house. The furniture, although I had bought it, reminded me of living with Tyler, and I wanted to erase all those memories. So, I asked them to dispose of everything, even if I had to pay a fee. Luckily, I had savings for when we might have kids, so I figured I could use that for new furniture. It was a reward for myself for enduring a tough situation for years. I explained this to Tyler.
How could you do something so selfish?
He started speaking in a half-dismayed voice.
That house was ours. It might be in your name, but isn't it normal to discuss this? What have you done?
If you didn't like it, you should have contributed a bit to the mortgage. You're the one who refused because you didn't want your spending money to decrease, right? When we bought the house, we agreed it would be in both our names, and that we would split the mortgage payments. Even though Tyler had promised, he broke that promise and didn't pay the mortgage. I had no choice but to pay it myself, so I changed the ownership to my name only. Since I paid the mortgage alone, it's up to me to decide what happens to the house. Obviously, Tyler's opinion didn't matter. Tyler cheated on me with his ex-girlfriend while we were married. They would definitely face severe consequences. While I was baffled by their lack of understanding of such an obvious fact, Tyler snapped, "That's not fair."
That's not right. First, you're just a midwife. They say doctors earn a lot, but there's no way you can cover all that on a single woman's salary. You must have borrowed money from some shady place. Isn't that right?
Tyler might have had a point. Even though I work in the medical field, it's still just a single woman's salary. It's not enough to pay off a home loan on my own. However, I had a special situation. Actually, my parents are wealthy landowners. I didn't tell you because I wanted to be with you without those complications, but I own properties and have substantial rental income. In reality, my family was a wealthy landowner in this area. I had inherited some land from my parents and earned a lot of rental income from it.
What?
Tyler was panicked by the shocking news. I had to stifle a laugh at Tyler's reaction.
Well, then let's divide the assets. Any funds from after our marriage should be subject to division, right?
Sure, that's fine with me. But in return, I'll send a certified letter to your company. My parents are furious about this. If I hadn't stopped them, the news would have spread to all the business owners around here. You can forget about finding a new job."
No way.
Tyler gasped at my words. Then, he replied in a flustered tone.
That's just a threat. What's so fun about ruining someone's life? You're a wicked woman.
He spat out those words, but they didn't hurt at all. I had tried my best to be kind to Tyler and his parents. It was more than clear that Tyler was cornered. They were the ones who mistreated me. So it's only natural they face some consequences, but why was he panicking so much when it's coming back to him? I couldn't help but find it amusing. Say whatever you want. I'm handling this through my lawyer, so don't contact me anymore. Goodbye.
Wait, Amanda.
I heard Tyler's desperate scream, but I ignored it and hung up the phone. Right after, I blocked Tyler's contact. No more annoying phone calls. Or so I thought, but this wasn't the end of it. One day, after my shift ended and I was leaving the hospital, 3 familiar figures approached me.
Amanda, please, help us.
Please, don't abandon us.
We're sorry for everything. Just please.
It was Tyler and his parents. The 3 of them, who were nothing but a nuisance, came together, and I couldn't help but sigh. How much trouble do these people need to cause to be satisfied? There's nothing to talk about. I told you to go through my lawyer from now on. If you need anything, contact my lawyer.
Don't be so cold. We need you, Amanda. Mom and Dad are lonely without you. Please, come back.
Even though they said that, I had no intention of returning. I don't want to have anything to do with these people anymore. They kept pleading, but I ignored them all. As I tried to leave, Tyler's mom grabbed my arm. Ow. Let go of me.
Please don't abandon us. We were planning to live with Tyler. We prepared everything and even sold our house. But now we have nowhere to live because the house was sold.
This time, it was my turn to be surprised by her words. Apparently, they had been planning to move in without my consent. I've never heard such a thing before. Isn't it incredibly rude to proceed with such plans without even considering my opinion when I was the one who paid the mortgage?
Because we have no place to stay, we have to spend our days in the park. I'm begging you, show some mercy to an old man.
With that, her husband pleaded with me desperately. Passers-by gave us disapproving looks. Some people were even saying things like, "Should we call the police?" It was humiliating. I had to go through this in public. I was completely dumbfounded by their outrageous behavior. And yet, they were only thinking about themselves. Despite how much they hurt me, they were trying to make my wounds even worse. How could they be so insensitive? I sighed, unable to comprehend their thought process. Then, Tyler desperately begged to me.
I'm begging you, do something. Amanda, you have a place to stay, don't you? Just let the 3 of us live with you.
It's true that after everything, I had found a place to live and moved. Of course, I hadn't told Tyler and the others where it was. That's why they came to this hospital, knowing I'd be here.
Besides, I lost my job. There's no way we can live like this. We can't even afford to eat.
What? You got fired? Why? Come to think of it, the 3 of them were dressed quite shabbily, but I couldn't have imagined they'd been fired. Of course, we had agreed not to share the details in exchange for not splitting the assets, so my parents had been sworn to secrecy and had respected my wishes. So why had he been fired?
It was Anna. She went berserk in front of the company when I said I wouldn't marry her if the kid wasn't mine. Eventually, my affair got out, and now no one will hire me. What are you going to do about it?
Well, even if you say that, I never imagined things would get this bad. Probably, when Anna caused a scene at his company, the managers learned that Tyler had betrayed the daughter of a well-known landowner around here, and they didn't want to hire him. Tyler had lost his home and job, while my family continued to prosper as landowners. It was obvious who they would side with. I felt sorry for him, but I had no obligation to help. I shook off her arm and started to leave.
Wait.
Tyler called out desperately.
Please, don't abandon me. There's no one but Amanda for me now. I can only rely on you.
Please, Amanda, don't abandon us.
We're begging you.
Their pleas echoed behind me. It was unbearably annoying, so I had to say something. There's no one stupid enough to help scum like you. Give up and live as the bottom feeders you are. With that, I left without looking back even once. I heard through the grapevine that after that, Tyler and his family disappeared. When we ran into each other at the hospital, he still hadn't paid the alimony, so I had my lawyer urge him to pay it quickly. Soon after, the alimony was paid in full, but I have no idea where the money came from. At the time, Tyler had lost his job and had no way to earn money. So how did he come up with such a large sum? Most likely, when the lawyer pushed for payment, Tyler panicked. If it went to court, it could cost even more money. So, he must have scraped together the money in a hurry. You never know what desperate people might do. Maybe he borrowed a large amount from a place he shouldn't have. They might have paid the alimony, but they had no means to repay the loan. Those kinds of lenders are notorious for their ruthless collection methods. Once it became clear they couldn't repay, Tyler and his family were probably sent off to harsh labor. His elderly parents, despite their age, might still be working hard somewhere. I don't intend to pity them, but I do feel a bit sorry for them. As for Anna, her attempt to pass off the child as Tyler's failed, and on top of that, when her parents found out she was being charged alimony by me, she was disowned. The child was taken in by their parents and is being properly raised. When I heard the innocent child wouldn't suffer, I felt relieved. Unable to rely on her parents and still needing to pay the settlement, Anna reportedly took on night shifts. But the work was harsher than she expected, and she quickly gave up. However, with no place to go or anyone to rely on, she couldn't quit even if she wanted to. As for me, I got rid of all my worries and am enjoying my life. Given everything that happened, I decided I was done with marriage and threw myself into my work even more. While it may not have been necessary, just in case, I met the director and requested a transfer to a hospital in New York. At first, I was worried about whether it would work out, but once I started working, I found everyone was kind, and the conditions were even better than my previous job. Today, the delivery room is filled with the cries of newborns. For a while after that incident, I couldn't rejoice purely at those cries. But time healed those feelings, and now I can genuinely say, congratulations, from the bottom of my heart. I can't guarantee that I'll walk through life without any more worries. There might be tougher times ahead than ever before. Even so, I want to stand strong on my own feet and be the person who celebrates the birth of life first and foremost. No matter what hardships await, I'll overcome them. I vowed this to myself.